Digestion and the metabolism starts when we see the food. That's the first thing. That's what we call the cephalic phase of the digestion. All the signals start in your head, how the food smells, when you start chewing, when you start thinking about food, when you perceive the flavors. It goes to the stomach where after you chew or didn't, because it can be both, your stomach start to move everything around with the gastric acid to try to break down into small particles. That is mainly in the stomach, it's mainly for protein and for fiber and a little bit for fats. But carbs digestion don't really happen there. It starts in the mouth. When the food is emptied from the stomach, it goes to the first third portion of the small intestine. The first thing that is key to the digestion of carbs and the absorption is not only where they come from, if they are refined or not, but it starts with you and how much you chew your food. When something is so refined, first you or we in general tend to barely chew it. The food has starch, the complex carbs have starch, and that starch have specific chemical bonds that is broken by the saliva. We have an enzyme that is called amylase in our saliva that breaks the starch, and that helps to break that. It has to be break down further with the amylase that is released in the first portion of our intestine from the pancreas. And there, the second digestion happen, and then we absorb it in the intestine as well. We need two enzymes to act, the one in our mouth and the one in the first portion of the intestine. That is when something is complex, because if we don't break it down into the glucose, we cannot absorb it and it cannot reach your bloodstream and then it cannot go to the cells for energy. Now, this is when it's complex. When something is a simple carb, a juice, or an ultra processed food that is high in high corn fructose syrup or a lot of glucose and so on, that you barely have to chew it. That enzyme doesn't have to act. And then it goes to your stomach, then it's emptied to the intestine. And that enzyme that we release doesn't really have to act. It is absorbed immediately. It means that if you have that piece of fruit and on top of that, you add some Greek yogurt or some nuts and you have extra fat and so on, then it will spend more time in your stomach digestion and it will be slowly released to your intestine and absorbed slowly. But if you just grab the juice with no fiber, no protein, and no fat at all, then it goes straight to the intestine, absorbs and reach your bloodstream. And then you have this peak of glucose in your blood. And it's when here comes the key that removes all the glucose from the blood, which is that hormone called insulin. And that's when we have a spike of insulin and everything goes in the cell. So when the insulin comes, open the cell, it was a key, and put the glucose in. And we use it if we're active at that moment. If not, we store it in the way of fat.